Alright, hey, what's going on, all you nuts and bolts, and welcome back to the motorcycle vlogs. This is going to be episode 3 of the GS750 Café racer build. So today I'm pretty much working on the seat. This is the seat pan I have for it. This is stainless steel. I actually cut this out of, here, let me pull this off. It was a lid for a barbecue. An old barbecue that I had. I actually used the base part for my welding cart, but it was the biggest surface piece of sheet metal that I had laying around, and the nice thing is the old previous seat pan was completely rusted out in it, and with this I don't have to worry about that because it is stainless steel. In order to secure it to the frame, all I'm using is, what are these? I don't know what size these are. Just a couple screws that I drilled down through the frame, and then I just tack welded onto the seat pan. I know it's pretty ghetto, but it's going to get the job done, and it's going to be pretty, well, it's low tech and pretty secure and easy to do. So I'm just going to trim off these corners here, and then that piece of plastic vinyl edging stuff that I'm going to put around here, and then I'll get to what I'm going to surface, what I'm going to use for cushion and also for the surface of the seat. So this is pretty much the process how I cut this entire thing out. This curve that's in it right here was already in the lid for the stove or the barbecue, so I pretty much just kept that. I knew it was a good curve. It's a good even curve. So just a couple of yellow handle straight direction sheet metal shears. This is stainless, so pretty tough stuff. This doesn't have to be gorgeous, but and then I'll file that up to make it a little bit smoother. This whole thing is pretty rough, but all it needs to do is hold its form and its shape, so and give me a basis for my cushion and a way to attach the cushion to the frame. That'll do it. Like I said, I'll touch that up with a file and then go to the next step. So the safety tip for working with sheet metal, you always want to wear good gloves, protective gloves, preferably leather. There we go. Okay, so like I said, this is the vinyl plastic edging material. It's just plastic U-shaped. I don't know if you can really see that. Anyways, it just slips over the edge of sheet metal and that way when I wrap it with the material, it's not, the edges aren't going to work their way through, hopefully, and tear up the cover material. So I'm actually going to spot super glue this in place. So, and basically fold it in half. So fold it in half, go to the middle, and then I'll just start at that point in the middle of the back of the seat pan. Alright, nuts and bolts. Well, there it is with the edging all over it, all around it. And like I said, it's just spot glued on there, just kind of hold it in place on the edge. And then this is the foam seat that I carved out of, this part that's carved here was actually already like that. This is the main seat portion where I sat before on the old seat. I just trimmed it down and shaved down the back some to fit the contour here. And it's almost like a makeup sponge material. Not that I know what makeup sponges are like, but it has it set up to be an insert right there. Just a more comfortable section, I guess. That's where the majority of the seating is. So, yeah, that's the seat. Alright, well, I've covered this before, I think in the last video in this series, how I like to go the cheap route. I like to try to reuse things and repurpose things, recycle, what have you, and then do more of a hands-on. When you're doing a project, you're gonna pay for it somehow, either with money or with labor or time, you know, what have you. I would rather spend time and labor than money, because you get the object, or you get you still get the goal when you spend money, but that's all you get. You get that instant gratification and then it's over. You don't really get the appreciation out of it that you would if you did it yourself. If you do it yourself and you've never done anything like that before, you're gonna learn from it. You're not only going to get the ultimate goal of getting the job accomplished or the thing there, but you're gonna benefit from the experience of the journey to getting that as well. So, you know, I always believe in the motto that you should always be trying to try to improve yourself. So what I'm getting at is I went a really cheap route, for a really inexpensive route, I should say, for covering my seat. And I knew I wanted leather, so I had the idea of checking out the local thrift stores to find an old leather jacket so I could cut it apart, or cheap leather jacket, cut it apart and coat it with leather. So I got my leather jacket. And here's a tip for that if you're gonna do something similar. This is actually a lady's jacket. It's actually a pretty nice jacket. But thing I noticed, if you're a guy and you're not afraid to go shopping in the women's section, there was a lot more leather jackets in the women's section, and they were a lot cheaper. This jacket was $15, $15, and it's a pretty heavy leather. It's pretty thin, but it's still pretty heavy. The biggest thing that set me back time-wise looking for the perfect jacket was I knew I was going to be using the back section, so like the back panel. It was pretty much impossible to find a jacket where the area that I would be using didn't have any seams in it. I didn't want any seams necessarily, so I finally came to the conclusion I'm going to have to deal with seams. So I went for this one because of the quality of the leather, the thickness, plus the way that these seams were a lot nicer than the rest of them. So that's what I'm going to be using for my material. $15 thrift store leather, women's leather jacket. So that's how the siege is going so far. I cut some of this out of an old child's blanket. It's like a insulated blanket. This is the insulation out of it, and then put that over the surface here on top of the foam, because where somebody had shaved away the foam, it was left bumpy, and this helps kind of fill in and pillow some of the gaps there, so this helps smooth it out quite a bit. There's a little bit of it bubbling up right there, but I think as the leather relaxes from sitting in it, that'll help, or that'll go back. So all I'm using right now, I don't think I'm going to do this for permanent, is just super glue. You know how well super glue sticks to skin? Well, this is essentially just skin. So I'm just stretching it and then laying down a little bit of super glue, and it sticks there instantly. So like right now I'm going to pull out these wrinkles and this excess right here. So check this side, and I pull and I see where I'm going to attach. Make sure it's fairly smooth along here too. Go back and check, make sure I got the wrinkles pulled out, and created any new ones. Grab my glue. Almost out of this stuff. Kind of press it in, let it set. Try to spread that glue out here. It's starting to take shape. I think what I'm going to do now is start trimming away some of this excess. I don't know about the corners yet, if I'm just going to be able to stretch it over and smooth it out, or if I'm going to have to cut up and then sew a seam or something like that. I don't want to have to sew it, so we'll see. Probably the best way that I should have done this was to wet the leather a little bit first and then stretch it on here, and any wrinkles and stuff would kind of iron out as it dried. It would be more form fit. I can still get the leather wet at this point, but then I'm risking getting water into cushion part, the sponge part, which I would want to avoid. I'll still try to leave enough excess to grab hold of and to glue down. Like I said, I'm just gluing this for right now. I'm probably going to pop rivet it with some washers, make it more secure. This utilized pretty much all of the back. This is that whole, what's left of that whole back panel right here. So it's, the majority of it was used on here. Alright, let's see what I can do with these corners. Alright, well the iPhone I was using to record on died, so I had to switch to the GoPro here, so forgive the sound. But here it is. It got a little scuffed. I'm working on it. But that is the seat. As you can see, after I went and super glued everything, I went back over it and riveted just with some aluminum rivets. I really should use washers under these, but I don't have any. If I do have any that small, I don't have that many. So, but with the super glue and those, and it being clamped down on the frame of the bike, should be fine. If anything, I can go back around and add more rivets in between. That'll help distribute some of the tension on the leather. So we'll see if we can get her on there. Okay, well, yeah, it turned out looking, it looks magnificent, way better than I thought it would. I can't complain about the way it looks. There's a few potential issues, however. With stretching the leather and, you know, somewhat stretching it out so that as to eliminate wrinkles and whatnot. The seat pan has kind of curled up, you know, pulled this way, so it doesn't sit back like it used to. And even though I allowed for clearance in between here, with the seat pan, I didn't take into account for the edging that I was putting on there, so it's a pretty tight fit in here. So that's a potential, even with that edging on there, to wear through with vibration, wear a hole in the leather. But the contour of it, the look and the smoothness, how well it's smoothed out, I didn't expect it to turn out that well. The seat doesn't really fit the rest of the bike, really. It's the rest of the bike kind of needs to catch up to the seat now. As far as comfort and feel, I don't know. I haven't tested it out yet. I know that this seat setup with the tail section that far forward puts me pretty close to the tank, so we'll see how that goes. As far as feel wise and control, it feels really good that way, as far as it feeling like I'll have really good control of the bike. So we'll see. So you can see it's kind of all, yeah, out of sorts. We'll see after riding on it for a little bit how it turns out. I'm actually getting ready
to leave tomorrow on a 4-day trip back to my hometown, and I'm going to meet up with my brother, and we're going to ride over the weekend. We're going to go kind of all around where we both grew up. He lives pretty close to where we both grew up, so that'll be pretty awesome. Yeah, so that's that. Now it's on to mounting the rear turn signals and license plate.